Welcome to History Meets Prophecy. I am Elder Michael.
And I am Officer Charmaine. Welcome, everyone. Wow, this is going to be such a wonderful, wonderful session. And yes, we are back.
Yes.
So, first of all, I would like to welcome everyone back to History Meets Prophecy. This is a dynamic and insightful channel which is brought to you by the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries. And our program is unique in that we use biblical narrative and world history and converge them, offering a more profound explanation of ancient Israelite prophecies and their connection to modern day events. So, at the heart of our content lies a commitment to unearthing the truth, often obscured or distorted through time. Now, we focus on dispelling the falsities and misconceptions that have shrouded historical events, particularly those related to the Israelites and their prophecies. So, our channel serves as a beacon for those who seeking clarity and authenticity in understanding our past and its impact on the present and the future. So, one of the things that we have done, you've heard this through many of our YouTube events, and even in personal events as well. We've introduced the term Jacobites, and I just want to express that the term itself was originally coined by our elder Shadrach, and this is to describe the descendants of the enslaved individuals brought to the Americas. And this also distinguishes us from other Blacks or Africans, individuals who may have migrated, by their own choice over the last few years. So this is very specific because it shows that Jacobites are the children of Jacob, and also allows us to share our unique history and spiritual identity as well. Furthermore, we use the term Israelite for individuals who have joined the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries, embracing our God, which is the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. Our community also allows for other individuals to come and join us if they choose to, but they have to adhere to the laws, the statutes, and the commandments. Now, the reason I want to express this is primarily for anyone out there who's new. This is an interactive channel, and we do encourage discussions. So if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please put them in the chat. We are looking forward to a very fruitful discussion. In addition to that, you are also welcome to join us. If you want to be a part of the Israelite Nation, there is a link to a form in the description below. And we also encourage you to share, to like, to comment, or to subscribe. But once again, I just want to welcome everybody again, and we really do hope that this is going to be a wonderful discussion. And thank you so much. We really miss you guys, by the way. Elder Michael, over to you. I think I've said quite a bit there.
That is fantastic. Thank you so much, Officer Charmaine, for that wonderful introduction. You set a very strong and defining a foundation that others could see that we are unique in many respects. And the point here, though, is that we are in a special situation today throughout the world, and we are distinguished from all the other nations on the face of this world because of the God that we serve, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. So today we are going to introduce or reintroduce this subject matter, or the program, because we haven't been on for quite some time, and to bring our listeners and our viewers up to date on what's going on, not only in the world, but with us as Israelites and how we deal with that situation. We have a number of different subject matters. We're not going to get into all the details today. It's more of an intro, an appetizer. And what we will do following this presentation is to go into detail on each subject and individually. I think that would allow the individuals to have, a better understanding. And plus, if you have a subject that we have not presented that you would like us to deal with, just put that in the chat and we will address it as well. So which one should we begin? Go ahead with your commentary.
Well, first of all, I should let you know that this is going to be a series of 12 episodes.
Yes.
So, it's going to be tight and it's going to be very interesting. And I think we should start with the first one that we have on the list. Now, even though we're going to go through them, we're not going to necessarily deliver them in this order, unless, of course, you say, yes, you have to deliver it in this order. Okay, but yeah, so we're going to work on the ones that we feel is more relevant, but we're going to take you through each of them. We'll start with the first one, Elder Michael. I know this one is a favorite of yours, and it's one that's been coming up quite a bit of late, which is
definitely the secret war for the souls of humanity. This is big, and we can see it unfolding on a daily basis in many different respects. What I like to suggest or recommend is that take a look at the beginning and see exactly what transpired. If you look back to the scriptures in the time of the creation of man and the instructions given to man and woman, of course, by the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, you would see that there was some deception, a lie that was ingested or digested, I should say, at the beginning. And that lie came from Lucifer, and it has continued, has permeated throughout the earth to this very day. And it seems to be getting bigger and bigger as we go on. However, because the Israelite nation has been called out, we are not subject to it like the rest of the world is. So therefore, we could distinguish between the truth and the lie. And we want to make sure that we understand that, because the issue today has to do with that same phrase, the difference between the truth and the lie. So we look at, sorry, go ahead.
No, I think just going back, the title itself is a very profound title. Now, this is the secret war. This is based on the battle for your soul. Well, ask yourself, is there a battle for your soul? Do you feel that there is? We're going to go deep and actually explain to you exactly what's going on. When you look at Israel, what we represent to the world and how they benefit from sacrificing us, for lack of a better term, then you would understand how important you are as an Israelite, how important it is that you turn back to the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob if you have gone astray. How important it is for us all to cling onto this truth, this doctrine of truth, because this is our only way of surviving. But yes.
Not only that, we were the only ones who were given the spirit of truth. And therefore, we were given not to look good, we were given to teach it and to baptize those who qualify accordingly. So when we start with this precept, the secret war for the souls of humanity, we understand that this war is a spiritual war. It begins with the betrayal, as I said, and rebellion of Lucifer and his hellboys, the so-called fallen angels. And it has continued to this day. It is a battle for as I said, the truth, which is the Israelite nation, versus the lie. And it begins with confusion, which is essential for social engineering. And it leads to a disease that I've coined, and I've termed it spiritual intoxication. Now, we have to really understand this. This today, we're not going to get into all of that. But today, the most common form is repetition. And it's done in the music, it's done in the sports, it's done in the news, it's done everywhere in the culture. By attacking the soul, the lie is easily consumed by all individuals. So that Satan and his hellboys, they sought to create a new individual. I call it a hybrid species, one that is a blend of good and evil. Remember the tree in the garden? And
Mm.
he chose individuals that
It's funny.
I'm sorry.
As you're speaking, that's exactly where my mind is. We've got to take this to the beginning,
Good.
and it's going to the beginning. So,
Excellent. Because
yeah,
that means like if you cannot start at the end,
no,
obviously, because then we would not understand it. So this guy is so clever that he has blended good and evil so that the individual pretends to follow, let's say, the Israelite Holy Bible, even though they cannot understand it. And the deception is that they're following him, not unknowingly. And that is what we're going to flush out when the time presents itself. Maybe
yeah.
one, the first or the second, I'm not sure.
Right.
Yes,
Absolutely. I think that I think you said enough there, Elder Michael.
I
I
agree.
think you probably gave away too much. I'm
Probably.
joking.
Uh,
No, but
yeah,
no, that was wonderful. And I think, even just to go off this, and you know what, guys, these are all intertwined. All of these are related in some way or another. So the beautiful thing is that as much, Elder Michael spoke about repetition, but likewise, even when we read the scriptures, we see that the God of Israel, he repeats himself time and time again because we forget. But it's important that we look at these different factors so that we can really understand what is happening in our lives. And you know what? Some people may say, oh, why do I need to do this? Listen to this. All I need to do is just read the scriptures and, my life will be great. It's like, oh, well, maybe. But you know what? It's always a good idea to be prepared to understand what's going on around you. That's the only way you can really defend yourself, honestly.
you're
So,
absolutely correct. And the point of repetition is a very good one because it works both ways. And
yes.
you know, like you said, the parents are going to say it to their children, and the other guy on the other side is going to say it to the children as well. And that is significant. We probably will come to this later because children are the centerpiece in many respects of deception and evil
Yes.
works, right? So these are points that need to be understood. People have to be aware of the format in which that they're struggling against. I mean, come on, we take a shower every day, or most of us anyway. We eat a breakfast every day or dinner. So again, the repetition is there. The question is, who is providing it and what is on your plate? You see, it is not everything that looks good or tastes good that is good, at least for the individual. So this is why we have to understand the format. All right.
So, so the next one I think would be invention of race. What do you
Yes.
think, Elder Michael?
Yes. What the second topic that we will address today or introduce today, which we will address later in detail, is the invention of race. The question
Mhm.
begs itself, how did this subject come about? Why
Right.
and why? And who are the ones that permeated this subject, right? The term race, and I'm not sure if that's the correct pronunciation, but we will get into that another time. The term race is a Spanish Christian term. It occurred first in the 16th century of Spain. And at
Mhm.
that time, it was called Iberia, which was Spain and Portugal combined. And it was used to separate the Israelites from the rest of the society. At that time, they called the Israelites Jews or Moors or what have you.
Mm.
And they were separated primarily because of they had the dark skin as we do today and other physical features as well. I mean, Officer Charmaine, you've got that beautiful woolly hair. I forgot to bring mine. I didn't know we were going to get into this today, but next time I'll bring it. And so they had to make a distinction, but most importantly, the separation was due to who they were worshiping in different groups. The Israelites were serving the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, and others were engaging in what I like to call idolatry and divination or witchcraft. Call it what I'm trying to be. Go ahead.
One thing I have to say that, when we talk about race, and one of the reasons why we bring this up is that it's such a powerful distraction. It is such a powerful distraction, and it's used so prevalent throughout everybody. everywhere you go now in the world, you're hearing this thing about race and the racism, racism, race. But for me, I see that this is such a powerful distraction, distracting us away from really what matters.
Exactly.
And in addition to that, it's about creating something, an illusion, pretty much, to distract us from what's actually going on. And it's so difficult even to separate our minds from this, because it seems like it's happening, but
Yes,
I
you're
wonder.
absolutely correct. You're absolutely correct. And
Mm,
it is important that our audience take notes of this, because it is not a biological, race is not a biological concept, but it allows certain groups to benefit from certain privileges at the expense of others. So it has more of an economic, political status, if you will, or social status, either way you want to slice it. But we will get into all of these later. But here's how I define it. I define
just
race.
before we go on, there is
Yes,
a point here. Let me just read it out. This is from
go ahead.
Felicia, and she's saying, "Is that why we have the armor of the Lord to protect our souls as well in this battle for our souls?"
That is correct. And the question then, Felicia, is how do you acquire the army of God? It is available, but it's like, okay, I might need lunch. Now, how do I get it? Okay, I could either,
It's the armor, g- g- going into battle, you will
yes,
be given a uniform.
right,
But if you're not on this side of truth, who's going to give you the uniform?
exactly.
Who's going to tell you exactly what you need to equip yourself to
That's the
succeed in
point.
battle?
That's the point, because it's one thing to get the uniform, another thing to know how to use it and how to use it effectively. So it is a good point. All that we are seeing here today is that that uniform is only available to the Israelites. You have to come into our Israelite nation. We will introduce you to other aspects, and eventually, when you're qualified, you get to put on that uniform to defend
Yeah.
yourself against all evil. Now, it doesn't mean that he's going to stop just because he sees
Mhm.
you dressed up. He might attack even more viciously, but at least you will have the means to defend yourself. And that's very
Yeah.
important. Yes.
Pansy had said that, yes, no one speaks about culture. They just speak about race and racism. There you have it. But we're
Exactly.
going to, I'm really looking forward to that one, actually. The
Yes.
invention of race. Where did that come from? Where did that originate from? I'm really looking forward to that one.
Not only that, here's something else that I discovered. I found that those that tend to promote it, they suffer from an inferiority complex. It's almost like they want to be like you, but they can't.
Mm,
And in order for them to feel good about themselves, they have to discredit you. So to bring you down to their level and put themselves above you. But we'll get into all of that. But that's just something to
yes,
think about.
Brother Michael. I'm going to
Yes.
throw another one at you right now, Brother Michael.
Go ahead, please.
How did Jesus become white? Oh my gosh. How did Jesus become white?
You know, the
Tell me.
question I have to throw back at you is, was he ever? Did he become white? Or was it just a fake invention of an image that then term Jesus? Now you see
Well,
how I
you know
dealt
what?
with that.
It's so true. It's so true. It's like I just want to know who that bloke is on, how did that bloke get on everybody's wall? I love the way Elder Castrini used to say it. He had the picture over the dinner table, and you're eating and you're all happy, and then you look up and then this guy's got the crooked neck, and then you don't know whether to be happy or sad. It's just, anyways,
You
it's just
see,
really diabolical.
this
But
is where I give the enemy credit. I said that is really good, because what that rather than leave it to the imagination of the individuals, they painted a picture and they
yeah,
named it accordingly, even though there's no connection between the two, the picture, the image,
yeah,
and the name. But you're not going to know that. It's been out there since what? How long? the 3rd, 4th century. I don't know, you know. And people believe it because of repetition.
Oh, they've really done a number on our minds, on our, the minds of our forefathers. Oh my goodness.
Right.
And we have to correct that. That's why
We have
we're here. We have to correct that. You know, sometimes it's important to know exactly where it's coming from, so you can easily dispel the garbage that's going into your mind and easily pull it out. It's like, they didn't even know
absolutely.
what he was like. This is somebody's uncle.
Yeah.
Not
And,
my
and
uncle, not your uncle, but
my,
somebody's.
my statement is only a true Israelite would know the appearance of his or her Israelite family. No Gentile European would honestly know the appearance of our Israelite brother Jesus. None. Zero. Jesus
Uh,
never heard of Christianity. Never, you know. So we have to really look to the spirit of truth, get the facts, and share them with those who seek the truth, not necessarily with everybody, but those that seek the truth. Yeah. So
and you know what? You said something really powerful there. You said Jesus had nothing to do with Christianity. And so we want to know, where the heck did that come from?
exactly. But
Who
again,
invented Christianity? Anyways.
we'll get to that in a second. But I've learned that we artists like Leonardo da Vinci and Michelangelo,
Michelangelo,
yeah,
yes.
and they go back to the 1300s, to between the 1300s and 1600s. They have never ever seen our Israelite brother Jesus, never, right? So how is it then that as good Christians that they are, or they claim to be, invented their own image, which they called Jesus? How did they do this?
We're giving away too much.
I know. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
It's
you
just
gotta get them to come back. Come back if you want to know some more.
I'm putting this out there so that individuals can think about it and try to
Mm.
understand that you have an artist, and again, use your
And they're
talent.
good artists. They're
Yeah,
good artists, though. You have to admit.
excellent,
They are very good artists.
excellent. And
Yeah.
that is something that we could do as well. We have musicians, we have good singers, we have good people. You're a good artist yourself, Officer Charmaine, if you don't mind me sharing that with the
I,
world. And let the world see your concepts. Let us see what's going on in your beautiful head, not just your hair or anything else. Let us see what else you're talking about or you're thinking about. And I think that this is where those guys really did a great job in what they're doing. But one of the things I've learned, and before I go into the next subject, is that
Mhm.
there's this guy that goes back, and again, listen to the timing of it. From the time of Babylon, there was a guy by the name of Nimrod, whose birthday was celebrated on December 25th. And after his death, his wife, Sarah Ramis, she claimed that an evergreen tree grew out of his body. Now, remember, these are fables, these are allegories, whatever you want to call them. And thereafter, on December 25th, which is approaching soon, she
Mm.
claimed that Nimrod would visit the evergreen tree and leave a gift beside it. And since that time, by adopting that precept, or that whole concept, I should say, they painted him to look like the man that they have renamed, or they painted this guy and they renamed that image Jesus.
I think it's going to be very interesting to see how many of this so-called fable is propagated throughout so many different cultures throughout the world. And they all have the same type of flavor when they want to be deceptive. And it's going to be so fascinating when you see this. You're going to see it time and time and time again. You got Horus and Osiris, and you got Nimrod and Semiramis, and you've got the whole pantheon of the small g gods from Greek and the Roman gods, and you've got them all, and they all have their version of this. But it's going to be very interesting to see.
It is very, very exciting,
Mm.
actually, because what I've noticed is that it's the same guy with a
Mm,
different name, and that name reveals certain characteristics that were
yes.
available to the people that worship him at that particular time. I
Yeah.
like the fact that they are very disciplined in what they're doing, and they may have been ignorant of the truth, but discipline and and that disciplinary behavior has led them to be very successful in their endeavor, and also they've earned a great profit, monetary profit, as a result of that. But
Yeah.
there's one scripture that I wanted to read here briefly, though, just 2 lines. It goes
Okay.
back to Jeremiah 51 verse
Mm,
7. They may want to put a note. Jeremiah 51 verse 7. It says,
yeah.
Babylon has been a golden cup in the Lord's hand and has
Mm,
made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine.
mhm.
Therefore, the nations are mad.
And so they all come up with this story. They all come.
I can,
Wow, that's a beautiful one, actually. We're going to
yes.
make sure we hold on to that, and we're going to link it to this particular subject. I
But,
think it's absolutely powerful.
and not only this subject, all of the subjects that we are going to get into, you will
There
see
you
that they are not only drunk, they're intoxicated, they're mad.
go. Hmm.
And they're doing that. Madness has caused them to,
To make up these stories.
yeah. And these stories are very successful. Look at the
They
industry
are.
that has been established around the Christmas tree or Christmas itself, December 25th and so on. I mean, like that alone is worth a week's exploration. But
Yeah.
anyway, just want to throw that out.
Yeah. Felicia said that they already say that the Mary and Jesus story existed before his birth. Now, all I can say is that the devil is very cunning. Ah, I'm
Extremely.
telling you, we take this stuff for granted sometimes, honestly. We really do.
Remember, that was not his first lie. He said to Eve,
And he's lost.
he said to Eve, did God say that you're going to die if you eat of the tree? They like, come on, I can't believe he's saying that. When is he going to say something different? You're not going to die. You become just like us. Now, who
Mm,
wouldn't want that? Come on. Who would not want to be like God? You
mm.
know, even if it's a lie, at least it resonates with you for a few seconds, and you're like, huh? Can you imagine if I can create a planet and I can live there by myself and have my own family and crazy stuff like that. So
Yes.
anyway, all I can say is this guy knows how to pull the right strings at the right time. So all I
So
say is make sure you're not wearing any of those, what do you call them? Um,
strings to be pulled. I thought. I
okay.
mean,
Uh, the stuff that,
Brother Michael.
well, anyway, you know what they are. I don't know what they are.
Okay.
So this
All
brings
right.
up another subject then that ties in with the so-called white imagery of Jesus, the power of melanin.
I was going to say that. Yes.
Yeah.
That is also a subject, ladies and gentlemen. That's going to be one of our subjects. And for those of you who just joined us, welcome. We are just covering some of the subjects that we will be touching on within the next 12 episodes.
Yes. Now, keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, that melanin is a testimony to the creation, or let's say it this way, to the almighty wisdom of the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, who created the heavens and the earth. Let me repeat that. Melanin is a testimony to the almighty wisdom of the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, who created the heaven and the earth. So
Mm,
that's the first thing we have to understand. This is not about black and white. This is about understanding creation. This is about understanding your biological composition. Because here's my next statement I want to make, and we're not going to get into it, but I'll tell you. Without melanin, there will be no life. Let me repeat that. Without melanin, there will be no life. So when you get
yeah.
those 2 points and you let it marinate into your soul, and you start to see the God of Israel creating. Like he got his hands in the mud, and not just any mud, the
The
blackest.
blackest, richest
There you go.
soil that you can
Most
possibly
fertile.
find.
Yes.
Fertile,
And
fully fertile.
yeah. So if you want to find melanin, if you want to get I'll let people, if you want to, okay, before I get to that. So this is how the earth was created first, before man and woman. And it was done in a way that speaks or spoke to not only the wisdom of God, but to the development of humanity later on. And this is what I like about the word of God. It is past, it is present, and it is future. This is why we talk about history and prophecy and the combination thereof. You see,
Mhm,
because this is absolutely amazing, and you can't get this every and anywhere. So without melanin, there would be no humanity. So you can see right there from that statement, there is no black
mhm.
man, there is no white man. There's a man that might look black. And as far as I can see about white, I don't know if you can see this. This is white. Have you ever seen anyone that look like this? I haven't. So I like to say, do not allow strangers to dictate your behavior, especially your
Mhm.
thought process. Keep it within the family. Stay in your
Yeah,
own lane. And you will see from a biological point of view, there's melanin in the brain. It's in the intestines. It's in
it's deep. It's deep. It's beyond skin
there.
deep. And
Yes.
that's what we need to know. It is melanin is beyond skin deep. It's
Yes.
such a powerful substance that helps us to exist day to day. And we are going to dig deep into that and show you some even statistical facts about this. This is just such a beautiful one.
But
And
by the time we're finished, most of our audience would want to be physicians.
yes, yes, exactly. Yes, absolutely.
That's how serious this subject is. It has a lot more than just a beautiful black skin or the lack
Yeah.
thereof. The
It
point
no,
is,
truly it is skin deep. It is
yes,
beyond, shall I say, beyond skin
um,
deep.
beyond
It's yeah.
without melanin, your spiritual development and your spiritual precepts might not be fully, uh, enhanced. You need all of these things, and again, it's not just on the outward appearance. There's more on the inside than there is on the outside.
So
So
guys, I hope you're taking notes and you can let us know which one of these that you really want to hear first because like I said, you could sway us just a little.
a little bit,
So
a little
please, think about those questions that you'd like to ask.
bit. Right.
So
Now, what's the next one we want to talk about?
okay, so also just to let before we had lots of guests, and we hope to have many as well during these 12 episodes because we have a lot of knowledgeable people in our organization. So many knowledgeable people, and we can't do this by ourselves. We need all of our people to come in and to solidify some of these statements because I'm telling you they are so powerful, so good. And the reason why I said that because I see the next one, which is about the Gichi, and we have some great guys that know this stuff inside out, and they are going to be joining us
Definitely.
when we talk about this subject. And
Yes.
it's like, Gichi, what are you talking about? Anyways, for those of you who don't know, these are the Indian tribes, or some of the. I hope I'm saying this correctly because terms keep changing every day, and now what was said yesterday is offensive today. So the natives, some of the native tribes in the US, some of them actually mixed with Israelites and formed these tribes, such as the Gullah Geechees. But we're going to go into that a little bit more, look at some of their customs and their practices, you know, look at the wars that they were involved in, what took place in those wars, some of the negotiations that took place as well. It's very important to see how people moved, especially how we moved among these different tribes and nations, because you see that, we have left our mark in so many different places, but it's interesting to see what's actually happening here. So we're definitely going to be uncovering that. Looking at some of the seminal wars, is it the Gullah Geechee, their hidden stories of survival and their resilience. Yeah, we're going to be looking at some of that.
Yes, I also would like us to take a look at I like to call it the Masonic Christian invention of the KKK. And the reason why I find this subject so fascinating is because it has a lot to do with Christmas. And 99% of the people out there have no idea of that matter. The that the KKK and Christmas go together, or the KKK and
One.
Freemasonry. Sorry, say that again.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
That the KKK and Freemasonry go together. That the KKK and Christianity go together. So all of this works in harmony, and I like people to investigate these subject matters and see the KKK was officially established on Christmas Day. It was the eve, December 24th of 1865. Now, that is not a conflict because in the original culture, if I can use that term, the day began at sunset. And that's how we in the Israelite nation also um, function. So
Yeah.
the evening is the day, and that's in the Bible. If you look at in the book of Genesis, you will see. So Christmas Day was the day selected by the Christians to establish the KKK. And it was Albert Pike who had a big role in this endeavor as well. And you can check that out. So think about what affliction the children of slavery have suffered as a result of the invention of the KKK. Look at the cross and see how it is it's so influential in their behavior. Why? Because it's all about death. If you wanted to find the cross in a multiple location, you have to go in a graveyard, in a cemetery, and you will see it there. So how is that then on the Christian altar? How did they take it from the grave and put it on the altar? But those are the questions that we will address when we get into this matter. And it's a very important subject because at this time of the year, Christmas is the focus. And they say it's for the children, quote unquote, right? But nobody focuses or will focus on the KKK. So, and I think in many cities throughout North America, Satan is arriving, and today and next week and whenever, and he's dressed in red and white, and everyone is excited because they think they're going to get gifts. Well, think about it again, and maybe you could do your own investigation and see for yourself what we're talking about today.
I think I think it really is a good idea for, everyone, or for, individuals to actually look at some of these items that we're talking about, because the information is actually out there, and it's just a matter of you taking the time out to go and dig it out, or to put it together, because it's actually out there. And, this will also help to generate a really fruitful discussion. So I encourage you to do that. And we actually have a Felicia who's saying that she's heard that Israelites were ruling Europe. So how can I put this? Yes and no. There was a time, there's something called the Golden Age, and some people also called it the Dark Age.
Yes.
And to me, they're one of the same, because that was when dark people were ruling Europe. I know, and I say this all the time, but that's exactly what they called the Dark Ages. And it was said to sound very down and depressive, but it was actually a time when knowledge was flourishing, and they were ruling from Spain and Portugal, primarily Spain at the time.
Yes.
And we've gone through that before, but definitely we will touch on that again, because it is important that we recognize, our forefathers' impact on society. How society, all of these different societies have thrived because of us.
That's
So
right.
yeah, definitely we'll look at that again. But this was during the time of the Moors.
And not only that, Officer Charmaine, it's good for us to be aware of these facts because,
Mm,
as you said before, we are the sacrifice. So all of our behavioral patterns may be used for good or for bad. And we will prove this over time. And I think it is important that we understand this because it allows us to kind of discipline our behavior. Because if we figure that we can do anything at any time, however we want to do it, then we are putting ourselves in a weak situation.
yeah.
But if we follow the script, and from script came holy scriptures, right? Then we are sure to be on a level that no one could ever attain besides us. And as a matter of fact, we might even encourage some of them to come and be one with us and serve the God of
Mm,
Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. So it's from a behavioral point of view, it's essential.
yes,
Yeah,
absolutely. No,
yeah,
I completely agree. It looks like one that everyone's looking forward to is Christianity and the KKK. Yeah, it is a very interesting one. And definitely we will tuck in and dig deep on that one as well.
exactly.
So another one that's interesting, because this kind of go off that particular subject, and that is the cross, the true symbol of death. And I know we've done this before, but I am still blown away. I was actually watching something yesterday. Was it yesterday? Oh, okay. So I was at a show yesterday and I was looking at two of the performers, and both of them, the woman and the guy, they both had a cross on their back. And I'm thinking, you, why would you do that? It's like, oh my goodness, this is unbelievable. Obviously, they probably don't know, but just I think we need to actually go back to that again and bring this one up again and go deeper into it because it's so prevalent and you see it more and more. I've seen people with rings and earrings with crosses, but the ones that I saw yesterday was like, wow, tattoos right in the middle of their back. The girl had a small one, the guy had a bigger one. I was like, geez, you put that on your back. Like, anyways,
Yeah,
it's
that's
something else.
that. You're absolutely right. It's very prevalent, and it has a tremendous impact on society because that cross, which is a symbol of death, which affects behavior, whether people understand it or not, is very significant because with the cross, you will see that there are two elements. There's the sun that is worshipped with the cross, and the snake or the serpent. And
Mm,
again, we'll get into all of that at the appropriate time. But another one that I like to throw in with the cross is the cube. And
mm,
I didn't always understand that because I have Muslim friends and they do their black cube. I have a Jewish friends and they have their black cube on their foreheads. So I'm like, what does this mean? I didn't understand it and they couldn't explain it because they didn't understand it. So now I was able to go through and put it together and it's a symbol of the cross as well. The only
mm.
difference is it's folded up. And when you unfold it, it comes out in a cross. That blew me away completely. I was like, I thought I knew anything. I am just like a child, you
Yeah,
know.
it's funny you even said that because as I was watching the two yesterday, and I was thinking the same thing. It's like, Otto Michael and his cube theory. It is a very interesting one, and yeah, I can see this is becoming more and more dominant, and there is something actually transpiring as we speak. But we'll get into that very
Yeah,
soon. I'm not
I
going to talk
think I know
about
where
it
you're going
now.
with that.
But
Let you
yes,
bring.
I'm not going to talk about it now, but we will definitely get more into that because yes, Elder Michael, you're definitely onto something here.
Yeah, and
So,
you can't have the cross without the invention of Christianity as a subject matter in itself. And
yep,
this is one
absolutely.
that some of my brethren in the MOV chat room, they're
Mm,
interested in engaging in. So we have to put this on the top layer when we decide on getting into detail. But the
yeah.
invention of Christianity is a very powerful subject, and you would
Mm,
see that We had a hand in that. And when I say we, I'm talking specifically about Simon the
Mm,
Samaritan. And
yes.
he had he was betrayed, or rather he betrayed the Israelite nation back in the day.
Mm,
And he tried to buy, as it says in Acts, the apostleship from Peter. And Peter told
mm.
him, go to hell with you and your money, and so on and so forth. So out of that, I mean, Peter told him basically go to hell, and he went to Rome. What are we to determine from that? I don't know. I'm just saying. And
Yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah, I remember you brought this up a few weeks ago, and I think that's a really another powerful point. And
Yes,
then Elder Freddie and Ezekiel's lesson yesterday also kind of ties into that. And I'm thinking,
yes,
you know what, this is going to be an epic. This is going to be a really interesting lesson because just digging deep down into how things transpired, how they came about, and what really took place. That's
yes,
what we're looking at. What really took place, as we said before, the truth is, often obscured in this murky
yes,
lie of history, and we have to take that and clean it out and show you that this is what you're really worshiping. This is who you're actually following, right?
yes.
So, and I think that's really important because when you have that kind of understanding, maybe that would help you to understand that what you're doing is
Wow.
garbage. It's
Yes,
it's it's wrong. It's rubbish. It's not for you. Okay, maybe it's for somebody else, but it's not for you. If you're
yes,
listening to this channel, I'm telling you, it's not for you, right?
yes. Right.
So at the end of the day, we need to set the record straight, and you can decide what it is that you want to do after. But
Yes,
definitely, I love that one. And I just want to say thank you to JM for your donation. Your donations are greatly appreciated
yes.
and extremely welcome. So thank you so much.
That's right. And I think that people look at the cross as just a casual instrument. They don't really understand how significant it is to to Christianity, and it empowers Christianity. Let's put it that way. And we'll explore all of these things. We will show how Simon has nothing to do with Simon Peter, but had everything to do with Simon the magician. And of course, you had the Romans, well, the Roman Catholics in this case, twisting that scenario. But again, we'll break that down to show you how they did it and why they did it, so that you would understand what it's all about. And of course, there's no doubt that these are the people that enslaved us. So we need to have that awareness as well. These are the people that take our book and make uh, not even duplicates. They made what do you call that again? Knockoff copies. You know,
Mm,
the knockoff
absolutely.
versions, I should say, and sell them for a lot of money and make them seem as if they're real and they know what they're talking about, but they don't. And it helps us to. And again, the reason we're not here to criticize people, but if they would use their own book, write their own book, I would buy a copy of it because I'm fascinated,
I
right?
think that's where the biggest confusion lies. That you're using our book and you're reading something, we're still looking for what you're reading because it's not there.
Yeah,
You know? So
makes no
yeah.
sense. It makes no sense. So if we want them, we want Christians, and I have friends that are Christians. Write your own book about your own family. Don't include our family. Leave Jesus out of it. You know, if you want to write about Jesus, that's okay. But again, that's too close. So call them about somebody else. Anyway, so that's another one. And do you want to take another subject?
Okay, let's. Oh, you know what? Along with the cross, we talked about the two people that I saw yesterday with the tattoo on their back. One of the things that we need to talk about is tattoo and piercing because I think a lot of people are still disillusioned about this.
Yes, it is a good point because they do not understand the spiritual impact. When I see a black man, and I use that term loosely, a child of slavery with a tattoo, especially the basketball players, I
Mm,
I'm I'm offended. I'm
yes.
offended. I'm offended by two things that I see the children of slavery doing. When a man has an earring in his ear and he looks like I do and skin complexion, I'm offended. Why? Because our forefathers did that. They took the earrings when they came out of Egypt and they built a golden calf and they worshiped that calf. instead of the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, who brought them out of Egypt. The second point is the cross. When you a tattoo anyway. I remembered back in the day how the Christian slave owners would brand the slave on the chest or the back or wherever. So when I
Mm.
think of a tattoo, again, another negative connotation. I'm thinking of a slave being branded and, with a hot iron with the symbol of that corporation or the symbol of that family or whatever it was, you know.
It was such an insult to be branded. And then, every now today, people willingly go and get branded like cattle. It's like,
That's
I'm sorry. It was such an insult. It's like, how dare you put that mark on me? And now people just, they go line up, they pay somebody to do it.
yeah. And here's a stupid part, if you don't mind my saying this, because if you're going to wear a tattoo and you're a man that you have my complexion, at least use white ink. White, not black, because having paid all that money, you want to showcase yourself. With black ink, you can't see the tattoo effectively, but with white ink, you can see it from a mile away. But that's a different story.
Yeah, it's like you're going to pay someone to brand you. It's like,
Yes,
how dare you be upset about the things that happened back in the days of slavery? When you go out there and you pay somebody to brand you, that's confusing.
very confusing and stupid, but
It's and okay. So some of us we never knew, and there's some of us, yes, okay. So we do have them, but what I'm looking at are those that continue to go out and get them, and those that it's like a completely disrespect. It's disrespect for even the laws of the God of Israel, because it's actually there. Don't cut yourself. Don't do this to yourself. But hey, we'll get into that. We'll show you again, and we'll show you. We'll prove it to you why you should not be doing this and why what they used to do in the past. I think it's very important. And then maybe you can share those with your friends and family and just explain to them that this is not the kind of thing we should not be just desecrating ourselves this way.
and it has a lot to do with leadership versus following.
Hmm.
If you want to lead, you don't you present yourself in a way that is going to be educational, if I can use that term, or instructive to others who are not aware of what we are aware of or what that individual is aware of. So you want to help them to become a better human being by branding. Everybody's doing that, and it serves no purpose. I don't see. I mean, maybe I need to know about these things because I don't see the benefit of it. It's really dumb and stupid in my opinion.
Oh, to Sean, thank you so much for your donations. Much appreciated. Guys, thank you very much. Really.
Yes,
It definitely helps us.
definitely. So, what your next subject, Officer Charmaine?
Okay, what else do we have? Okay, let's see. Okay, so we have the branding. Yes, okay. What about the Ottoman Empire? This is another one which this one is huge. This one is absolutely huge. The Israelites and the Ottoman Empire. Now we've looked at, the Israelites and Egypt, right? And Morocco, very important. Spain and Portugal, we touched on. We need to touch on the Ottoman Empire. We haven't gone there.
Yeah,
We kind of skirted around it, but we haven't gone there. And this one is absolutely huge
it's
because
it's very
a
powerful.
lot, oh my gosh, it's so sad, but at the same time, it's important to look at just to see
Yes,
how our involvement in that region, in that part of the world.
it is
Yes.
significant because a lot of the stories that are being told today are in a manner that are not accurate. Let's say that have radiated from that era, if you will. Because I
Yeah.
remembered as a boy when most of the Eastern European nations were Islamic. I mean, I'm talking about just as Islamic today, or back then, I should say, as the Middle East in some places, right?
Mm,
And out of that, emerged the Khazarian Empire, the Russian Empire, and others. So these are things that need to be understood. I think if you want to look at the way the world is, and this is where history meets prophecy comes in handy, you have to look at
Mhm.
the way it was established. Because
Yes,
before you see, yeah, what is happening today, you got to look and see what
and
happened
that's
yesterday.
it. That's one of the one of the very interesting things. If you understood what happened years and hundreds of years ago, then it will give
Yes,
you a glimpse of what's going on today. It will
that's
give you
right.
a glimpse of what's going on today, and that way you don't get caught up in the narrative of today. Because trust me, it's going to change. But
Yes,
this didn't come out of nowhere. It started from somewhere. But you've got to go back in history and look and see what happened. One of the things that I found really interesting about the Ottoman Empire, I don't know if any of you guys know, but there was actually a sultan and his name was Suleiman. And it was like really quite interesting. I'm thinking, and he was actually listed as one of the greatest sultans of the time,
mm,
of his era. And I'm thinking to myself, it's interesting how he bears an Israelite's name. And he was known for his strategies in battles. He had loads of wives. It was like, yeah, there's a whole story behind that, but it's also very interesting. I'm thinking to myself, man, you guys are just copying everything that we do. But you know what? That was their examples back in the day.
yeah,
So it's really quite interesting how that actually manifests itself.
you're right. And I remembered when you visited India and you found that there was an Israelite, an ancient Israelite colony there, and
Mm.
you were able to at least get some, even though things had changed, you could
Yeah.
still, with your understanding, see the roots.
Feel, yes,
Yeah,
that our forefathers stepped in that land. You can
yeah,
tell, you can
yeah.
see how the people behave. And you know what? That's so funny. And I'm just going to throw this out there. We're probably not going to touch on it during this segment, but one of the things I found really intriguing is that in that region, okay, guys, this get ready to get your socks knocked off. In that region of India, which is actually South India, Kerala, the women's sari, okay, the traditional sari is linen with a border of blue.
Wow,
Yes, the
wow,
traditional sari, linen with a border of blue painted on, and sometimes they'll have gold in there as well. But
wow.
listen, this is crazy. I had to buy a sari. I mean, look
I
at
don't know if you remember the time that when we used to do go on the cruises, and I think it was Elder's birthday. I'm not sure whose or his
yes,
or whatever.
yes, it was Elder's
All the
birthday. Yeah,
ladies, we were all dressed up, and the ladies, they had the outfits, and all the Indian and Asian ladies were admiring and taking pictures because they had
yes.
never seen such beautiful
It
outfits.
looked
Even-
stunning. It was absolutely stunning, if I must say
Yeah,
so myself. It
and and,
really was.
and these are outfits that they grew up with.
But we brought it to life. I'm telling
Another
you, it looked
level.
absolutely
Yes,
stunning.
yes.
Yes,
And
but
it's like, wow, who are these people? Are these angels? Kind of. I found it fascinating at that time.
yeah.
All right,
Anyway,
very
yes, we will be touching on the Ottoman Empire. It's an area that we haven't been to before, or we kind of skirted around it, but we're going to dig deep into that area because
yes.
it's very interesting, and you're going
And
to enjoy it.
yeah, and in addition to that, if we go to another subject, we will
Hmm.
be looking at the different gods, the many
Mm,
gods that there are in different cultures, because
yes.
it is fascinating. I find it fascinating that everybody's got their own god, and I have a great deal of admiration and respect for the different cultures.
Yeah.
However, when you sit and you examine these precepts or these inventions, you find they all had one source, one
Hmm.
beginning, and they all
Yeah.
have so much in common. And you
Yeah.
think, how is this possible? Because that's not the same with us. Our God is the first and only God, and we are unique in that respect. But the others, then it's just a name that changed, basically.
I think it's very, very important that we flush it out. I mean, you've heard it, especially recently on AIJ TV with our very own Elder Shadrach and Officer Doreen, when they were
Yes,
talking about, being identified by the God that you serve or the God that you worship. And identity is such a crucial aspect of our people.
Yes,
And losing that connection to our God, we have lost our identity. So
exactly.
now we have to claim this back. Right. So definitely this is one that's on the books. You may have heard it 1,000 times, or now you're going to hear it 1,001, because it's very important that we understand the importance of identity and why we know that there are many gods, and why our God said that you should not worship any other God but him, which is the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. And we're
Right.
going to put that out there and show you. We're going to show it to you, you know, and then we're going to even show you how our people have ended up worshiping other gods. That is the tragedy. That is the biggest tragedy. Not the fact that there are many gods, is the fact that our people have started to worship all of these other gods except for the true and living God. So
And you know
definitely,
what? When one of us go and worship another god, everybody's gonna say, "Well, if he can do it, I could do it," because they know
exactly.
who we
And
are.
do even better.
Yeah, exactly. So we have to be careful again with regards to our behavioral traits, because others are watching, and if we do it, they're gonna do it. Because if it's good for us, it's better for them, and we have to understand that precept.
Okay, and it is the hour, but on closing, I just want to also mention that we're also going to see if we could get our Elder Jeffrey in to talk about reparations, because I think it's another subject that's up and coming, and it's floating around in the air, and we need to get some clarity here as well. So definitely we'll
Yes.
invite him to talk about this. But Elder Michael, do you have anything to say in closing?
I also would like to get Elder Avery on. I haven't been able to reach him, but and because he has a strong and extensive knowledge base as well. But I think that these subjects, I should say, are so profound. Again, we are not criticizing people. This is an understanding, if you will, or a quest for the truth, so that other people that come from different cultures and they want to know what we're doing in serving the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, and they have questions, we can address each and every one of those questions. It is not that we have to tell them everything, but just to help them to find the pathway to the truth. That is the key of what we do. And thank you,
Excellent.
Thomas, for your donation. Really appreciate you.
Yes, thank you so much, everyone, for your donations. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you for your comments, for your questions, for interacting with us. Because, like I said, this is a very interactive channel. We want to make sure that these discussions are lively. We are encouraged by your support. So, thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing you next week. We're going to try and do this on a weekly basis. And like I said, we're going to have these subjects covered. And if there's anything else, I know there was somebody who was speaking about the Illuminati. Maybe not this time, maybe the next time. And who knows, maybe we'll touch on it, especially with KKK and Christianity. But it's going to
Yes.
be a very
We
good
will flesh out
session.
a lot of different angles, so you will be able to see how some of these things came about and why they're so significant to the other side. But most importantly, we want you to separate the truth from the lie, and then you can make your own decision with a well-informed process.
Yes,
All
and I
right.
also want to say thank you to our moderator today, which is young Abby.
Yes,
Thank you
thank
so much.
you.
You did such a fantastic job. Ladies and gentlemen, we hope to see you very soon. And on that note, I just want to say peace.
Peace.